Okay, I believe we got all members here.
We got all commissioners courts present. Mr. Peel on with us this morning, so he's there if we need to call him. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a regular meeting in Terms County Commissioners Court, Tuesday, the 28th day of April, 2020, 9:30 a.m. County Courtroom. Well, I'm at the county courtroom in West Texas. The rest of commissioners in their offices. If you'll all rise, Commissioner Tice, prayer, please.
Let us bow our heads and pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you with heavy hearts, Father. Ask you to guide this nation, guide the leadership across this nation, guide our local leadership that we may serve you and serve all of its people. Father, I ask you to touch all the people's lives that were affected by the tornadoes and any other bad weather across the nation. Father, I ask you to pick these people up and get them the help they need, Father. Father, I ask you to continue to guide this court, continue to guide the families in our county, Father, that we make the right decisions and be smart and vigilant throughout this whole COVID-19 ordeal that this country is experiencing. Father, we know you're the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and you've got a bigger picture for us all. Please allow us to guide your leadership. And all these things, Jesus Christ's most precious name. Amen.
Amen. All right, Commissioner Nelson, salute to the pledges.
Join me in the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America and to the republic
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag.
I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the
to
Texas
Texas, one state,
state under God.
Under God,
One and
one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Have y'all got a delay?
No, yeah, I don't know. I think Austin was just going fast.
Sorry, guys.
It was kind of different, but we got. Austin, do we have any citizens' comments?
Let me double check. No, sir, I see none.
Okay, no citizens' comments. Got him? We don't speak. Okay, we're gonna go, this is the regular meeting agenda under administration. 1.1, discuss and consider tax collection report submitted by Purdue, Brandon Fielder Collins, and Mott LLP. Got Mike Darlow on the phone. Mike?
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Hope everybody's doing well. Appreciate just a couple minutes of your time this morning for this item and then the next item that I have on some resales. And I'm assuming you all have had a chance to look at the pie charts and graphs. And these are really just an update from when I reported to you several months ago, and things were progressing nice in our collection effort, of course, and then COVID-19 hit and things sort of came to a halt in the tax collection world, certainly in the delinquent tax collection world. As the court would expect, our efforts have basically dropped down to minimal at this time based on the economic conditions of, everyone that we're dealing with. And, as we would expect you want us to do, we're going to continue to be mindful of that as we move forward in our collection efforts. And I'm hard pressed to tell you what things will look like in the months to come relative to delinquent collections. From a current collection standpoint, I think Denise and her office were well on the way, percentage-wise, to hitting the normal percentages that you guys get. And hopefully they'll end up that way when we take over on the unpaid 2019s in July. So what I thought I'd do is, and I'm happy to go back through any of the pie charts or graphs that I gave you, but I really just wanted to talk about two things for you relative to the delinquent collections. One is, as you can imagine, our court dates are sort of in flux right now, again, depending on situation as to when we'll have the next court date and when we tax sale. And I would tend to think that our next tax sale will probably be late summer, and we'll probably focus on vacant properties to the extent that we have some that are available. Obviously, we're not going to be looking, post for sale. So we'll be very cognizant of that and continue to work with Denise and her staff as we look forward to trying to have some tax sales. The second thing I wanted to point out, which is on a more positive note, is court may recall over the last couple of years at different times I've talked to you all about the Galveston Bay Properties bankruptcy. They have about 50 accounts in the county, from pipelines to working interests to platforms. And this company had been in a bankruptcy once, had a plan confirmed, had started making payments to us, and then late in the fall last year started to go in default again, and ultimately filed another Chapter 11. They muddled along for several months trying to come up with a plan of reorganization. And you may recall that I had mentioned Russian intrigue in some of the ownership of this company, and it just made it a better story. As to who really owned it, who was doing what. They started all fighting again. And the long and short of it is, about 2 months ago, the bankruptcy court converted them from a Chapter 11, where they would reorganize and pay their debtors over time, to a liquidating Chapter 7, where the court appoints a trustee to take over the assets, try to maximize the value of those assets in the sale, and then pay creditors. Well, they did get an offer to buy or to sell all the assets, and they had a closing on April 14th. And it's better to be lucky than good. And from a timing standpoint, while COVID-19 was going on, the oil market hadn't crashed at the time that they closed this. And so they closed this deal. They sold the assets for about $500,000. We had claims for the county, Anahuac School, Barbers Hill, that exceeded they're probably close to about $400,000 for 2016, a little bit of 16, but 17, 18, and 19 taxes. And as you can imagine, there wasn't enough money to go around to everybody. And so we were asked, as were other creditors, to take a discount. And recognizing that taking a discount and getting what turned out to be 80% of what was owed was better than not having than not agreeing, having the sale fall through, and then the assets sell for pennies on the dollar, or even worse, nobody buys them, and then they're just sitting there. And so we agreed to settle. We got for the county roughly $140,000, which is going to pay all the base taxes that are owed to the county. We're not going to pay any penalty and interest out of that money, and we're going to pay about $6,000 in collection fees to our firm, the statutory 3307, which was owed as well. But I think it's a win-win. We actually have the money. I sent it off to Denise on Friday, and hopefully through snail mail she'll have it today. And so I'm very excited that we're able to get that resolved, what I think is a good deal. And the new owner buys the property subject to the 2020 tax. Now, recognizing everything that happened to oil and all that, I'm not sure what that's going to look like when the bills come out, but we have a live wire to look at for the 2020 tax. So all in all, I think it was a good resolution. That's a quick update, Judge, on the property tax portion of my report. And again, I'd be happy to go through any of the pie charts or graphs that you or the court may have questions on.
All right, any questions? Excuse me, any questions on the tax collection report?
Yeah, I got one on the assets that at the tax sale or the bankruptcy sale. There's some assets that they own in the city. Is the new owner planning on continue to operate that, or do you know?
That's Commissioner Combs, for the record.
I think they're planning to operate it.
You talking about on the resale?
you're talking about the Galveston Bay property sale, right, Commissioner?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm talking about Galveston Bay. When the new company bought their assets, of course, as you mentioned, are some oil wells out in the bay and some collection lines, and they bring it into a center in Beach City. And I was just curious if they were planning to. Their plan is to continue operating those.
Yes, that's my belief. Now, again, recognizing with the price of oil and all that, how that impacts their operation, I'm not sure. But yeah, they bought it to operate it.
Okay, thank you.
And who was it bought it again, Mike? I'm sorry.
Judge, you
All
were
right, that's
asking
okay.
one question.
I thought maybe you mentioned it and I wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
No, I did not. I did not mention it.
All right, you can get it later.
I'm sorry, I don't have that right in front of me.
Okay, so, any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to accept the report.
What, Judge?
Oh, maybe.
Finding fee part of that report.
I'll go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
My apologies. No, I was done with the tax part.
Okay.
On the court fine and fee, I've provided you with a summary of our collection results for each JP. I've provided you 3 different maps for JP6 on bad addresses, good addresses, and then violations all across the country. You can see that map is pretty full of little pin placements.
Yes, sir.
As you all are aware, again, based on the COVID-19, the JP courts have in essence slowed down their work and interaction with defendants, and in turn have asked us to basically hold tight right now. So we're continually visiting with the courts and the clerks, and when they're ready to go, we'll be ready to go as well. So sorry, Judge, that's the last part of my report.
All right, Mike. Any questions on that part? Commissioner Gore?
And I mentioned this here to the judge here a while back. During this time here, did we do anything about penalties and interest during this COVID where we were shut down? People were still able to pay their taxes or whatever they needed to do, or did we adjust it because we're shut down because of this COVID? Give me any kind of break.
We had a couple of conference calls with the judge and Denise and Otelia from my office, and we looked at the law, and there was no basis to stop the imposition of penalty and interest. People multiple avenues to pay their taxes, to keep paying their taxes. So even though the office at some point was people could do the Dropbox, they could go online and pay. There were ample ways for them to pay, and none of that gave a rise to a situation, Commissioner, where you could waive or forgive the penalty and interest.
Okay, that's good. I appreciate that. So that way I can pass it along. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, now I entertain a motion to accept the report.
Motion for approval, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Combs. Billy, you second?
That's next, Mick. You got it, Billy?
They both did. Yeah, I got Combs. All right, motion, hearing no other questions. Excuse me. Those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. 1.2, discuss and consider resale offer. Excuse me. Am I busting y'all's ears having a cough?
You're good, Judge.
Got that frog this morning. An amount of 4,600. I'm not going to read it all, but I'm just going to turn it over to Mike and let him go through them. Mike, you still there?
Thanks, Judge. So interesting, we're continuing to sell first sales, and then these all were properties that were struck off, and pretty close thereafter, we've got bids, and the ones that the court has before you today are all, let me make sure I'm not misspeaking. 4 of the 5 are equal to 100% of the value. So if the court approves it, those sales will be completed. We'll get the money, record the resale deeds, and then the last sale on your list, which involves parcel 6707, is less than 100%. And if you approve it and the other entities approve it, we'll be able to conclude that sale. And coincidentally, last night was Anahuac ISD's meeting. I had 5 other resales for them, 4 of which were 100% offers and one that wasn't. So between the two, we've processed 10 resales in the last month on property that we hold in trust. So I'm very excited that we're still seeing a lot of activity on the property that's available when we're not able to sell it at the tax sale. So I've provided you with the typical bid analysis, the maps, the potential resale deeds, and I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we recommend approval of all of these offers.
Any questions?
Judge, I move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Nelson. Hearing no questions. Was it Commissioner Nelson?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Mike, I don't think you have anything else on the agenda. Appreciate all the hard work you do for the county.
Thank you, Jim. Look, everybody stay safe. We'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, 5.1, tabled. Regarding health and welfare, 14.1, update on COVID-19 public health emergencies. I got something this morning I thought I would share with you. Got a picture of two ladies walking with a mask back in the long time ago. History repeats itself. Came across this poem written in 1869, reprinted during 1919 pandemic. This is timeless. People stayed at home and read books and listened. They rested, did exercise, made art and played, learned new ways of being, and stopped and listened more deeply. Someone meditated, someone prayed, someone met their shadow, and people began to think differently, and people healed. And in the absence of people who lived in ignorant ways, dangerous, meaningless, and heartless, the earth also began to heal. And when the danger ended and people found themselves, they grieved for the dead and made new choices, dreamed of new visions and created new ways of living, and completely healed the earth just as they were healed. So, comes around. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Mary Beth Bess. Let her update you on the health side of the public health emergency.
Morning. It's nice to see y'all again. I feel like we just talked on a conference call, so it's nice to see y'all this morning. So let me give you a quick update on what's going on with COVID-19 in Chambers County. Currently, we have 41 cases, and we've held steady for the past 4 days, which is nice. When we talked 2 weeks ago at Commissioner's Court, we had 27 cases. We have, I hate to say this, I think I typed this wrong, but I think we have 16 recovered. We still have 2 hospitalized. And as of today, we have, I think we've tested 690 as of today. And so that testing still is occurring at private labs, as well as through the LRN, the City of Houston lab, as well as some through the drive-through testing sites, and mostly in East Harris County. And our ability to get test results has happened a little bit quicker. I know we were having some issues with that, and so that has happened a little bit quicker. We continue to push out information on our Facebook page. Daily, we update the website, the county website, at 5 o'clock every day. We push out new guidance on CDC guidance, which is updated quite often. We push that out on the Facebook page, as well as, I know Ryan, they shared on the county Facebook page, Office of Emergency Management Facebook page, and we try to get information out pretty regularly just to update the public, as well as we have our conference calls, and I know that that's how we update y'all also. Yesterday, I know everyone was, impatiently waiting on the governor to give new guidelines. And so our hope is that as Texas reopens slowly, that people will continue that social distancing and following good hygiene practices, and just, heeding good advice and opening slowly. Let's see, because of the, as we learn more about COVID-19, we know that there is asymptomatic spread. 2 days before you have symptom onset, you can spread the disease, which is why we ask people to still wear a mask. It's not mandatory in Chambers County, and Judge Sylvia has said that he's not going to make that mandatory. And the governor has, backed that up as well. As well as some people just have the disease and they're asymptomatic, maybe their whole course of disease. And so we ask that people just still wear a mask, especially if you're going to be in a place where there may be other people around you. We continue to perform surveillance throughout the county as well as contact tracing. I know we've discussed that many times. And what that means is that when we identify people who are positive cases, we do a high level of investigation on those people and identify who their contacts are, their level of exposure, and we isolate those people. So again, it slows the spread in the county. And we firmly believe that the residents of Chambers County have done a fabulous job in following Judge Sylvia's orders, as well as the governor's orders, as well as our ability to contact trace throughout the county has kept our cases so low. And we want to continue that trend as Texas slowly reopens. And we're just as anxious for that to happen as the next person is. And we feel like, we've wanted a crystal ball from the beginning, like everyone else has, is what's going to happen. And what does this all mean? And so as we move forward, we want to continue that practice of slowly reopening Texas. Let's see. One of the containment strategies that DSHS and pretty much even through the country, but Texas, one of the containment strategies moving forward as we reopen is that we know we have to increase testing. Two things: increase testing and really ramp up our contact tracing. As we reopen, we know we're going to have more cases throughout Texas and probably even in Chambers County, and we're aware of that. So in order for us to reopen safely, we have to really ramp up our contact tracing. So in order to do this, Texas is really committed to hiring even 1,000 more contact tracers. They'll, start this in Austin, and they'll push them out to the region. But here locally in Chambers County, we have received $250,000 in grant funding that we are super excited about. We have actually, one of the agenda, court item agendas on the agenda today is to hire a new contact tracer. And this will allow us to continue our ability to do this. We all know this is a 24-hour-a-day job for us to continue this effort. And we ask for your continued support because we know that moving forward, we'll have to continue to do this. So in this grant funding, we will, it's to help us build up our infrastructure, mitigate, communicate, and just beef up our ability in the county. We could not do any of this without the support of our local healthcare partners, law enforcement, EMS, essential workers, the EOC, y'all. It's just everyone who's really come together, and everyone in Chambers County should be proud of the job they're doing. We have always continued to base decisions made here on data. And from the beginning, it's been I don't think anyone's had an easy time making decisions, but I know that we've based those decisions on data. Let's see, we will be hosting a drive-through clinic, and I hesitate to say that because we cannot really when it will be, but it will be happening within the next week's time. So we'll post more information on our Facebook page, on the county website, but just know that this will happen and they will continue to happen, drive-through testing sites. So we will push that information out to you commissioners so you can push it out to your constituents. It'll be pushed out here on our Facebook page. And we'll continue to do our job here with your support and the county support. So thank you.
Any questions for
Mary Beth?
Yes.
Mary Beth, on that drive-through, are they gonna have to get a number for that? Is it gonna just be open, or how's that?
Yeah. So what'll happen is we will post we will post information about it, and yes, it'll only be for Chambers County residents. They will be given a phone number and a website that they will call and pre-register. It'll be, for symptomatic patients, for first responders, as well as those over the age of 65.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you for everything y'all doing. Y'all doing a great
Oh,
job.
you're welcome. Any other questions? No, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna let Ryan up here just a moment, but I'll be sending out something today summarizing how the county's offices are reopening. The golf course is going to be open starting Friday. The library pick only Monday. The tax office open, drive-through only in Anahuac. People are coming in the office, and the clerk's office is appointment only. So I'm gonna try to summarize that, send it out, and make sure we all understand that what all the offices are doing, and we agree with it. And if I didn't get it right, then I'll get some response back from you guys and get it right at that time. All right, Ryan Holzapfel, Public Information Officer.
Morning, everyone. Okay, so as you know, the governor's office released Executive Order GA-18 yesterday. So we already have an FAQ page started on the county website, and I've emailed some things out. No doubt we will provide clarifications to this as it becomes necessary. But I just kind of want to give y'all a nutshell version of it because we've already got a lot of questions today about it. So in essence, most provisions of the previous governor's order GA-16 remains in place, except that in GA-18, he added that certain reopened services will be allowed beginning May 1st, and there's stipulations on what that means. So if it's not specifically stated in GA-18, it's not considered reopened. So GA-18 is also set to expire on May 15th unless extended by the governor's office. But he also stated that reopening additional services after May 15th will be dependent upon whether the spread of COVID-19 is reasonably controlled on a statewide basis. So a brief summary of those reopened services, and it can be confusing. I've read it several times, and we'll keep doing so that I have a good understanding of it and can help people with these questions. So the governor issued a report called the Governor's Report to Open Texas. So you have to look at that too. And we also emailed that out and provide links to it. What that does is provide guidance to businesses and such, including houses of worship, et cetera, offices, on the things they should do to safely reopen. Also important to note is the governor's office superseded local city mayors and county judges, including commissioners' courts, with their orders as it relates to these essential services and reopening the services. So on Friday, May 1st, with social distancing and health guidelines as detailed in the governor's report to Open Texas, the following are allowed to open with a 25%, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. They can operate up to 25% of their total occupancy. So if let's say a restaurant normally seated 100 people, that means they could only have 25. So in-store retail establishments, so all sales, dine-in restaurants, movie theaters, shopping malls, museums and libraries can operate at the 25%, but there's still social distancing guidelines that's available in the governor's report that would apply to that. And also he specified that children's play areas, hands-on exhibits, or those places where people congregate are closed in these occupancies. In addition, he also said that single-person offices, golf course operations, outdoor sports that do not involve more than 4 participants or contact between those 2 participants. We don't know what that means regarding spectators yet, so we need some clarifications on what that means. Also, local government operations related to permitting, records, document filing services as determined by the local government. So the judge planned on today to release some additional information on county offices. So the governor's order G18 is still the same regarding the following being closed, such as bars, gyms, public swimming pools, bowling alleys, video arcades, massage establishments, tattoo studios, piercing studios, cosmetology salons, like hair salons, etc. The Attorney General's office released some updated guidance on religious services and churches, and that guidance is also available on our website. We emailed it out. It has some specific guidance. So if anyone has any questions, they can feel free to email pio@chamberstx.gov, and we will do our best to get them clarifications on this. Any questions thus far?
Hey, Ryan,
Yes, sir.
only question I have is I got a call from Larry at Old Time Trade Days yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Reach out to him because he's wanting to know what he can do on having trade days in May.
We've talked to him, Jimmy. You wouldn't believe how many phone calls we got right after the governor finished speaking on TV. And all morning this morning, everybody wants to know what he said. So we're trying to figure that out.
Thank you.
Hey, Ryan, before you, the 25% or the 25, the number 25, do all the restaurants have a occupancy capacity on their opening deal? They know how many that is?
There is, and if they don't remember, we can tell them that. I have all the restaurants, with exception of some of them that may be within the city of Mont Bellevue. I have the records of capacities, and we can easily help them determine that if they need our help.
Thanks.
So is that a
Ryan?
function?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, yeah, real quick. Outside dining, is outside dining open back up for restaurants with outside seating?
Oh, sure. I mean, it doesn't say outside dining, but if you say an inside dining is okay, then I would say yes. They just probably still need to follow his Reopen Texas guide regarding spacing. He has some specific guidance regarding spacing of tables and social distancing and whatnot. But I would say, yeah, inside or outside dining.
Thank you.
Hey, I'll stay seated this time. I keep getting.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anybody else got a question?
I think they only want to ask if I get up.
So what was the answer? Inside and outside dining.
He wondered if outside would be allowed as well, and I think that it's safe to say that if inside dining is allowed, outside is too. But probably the same social distancing guidelines are going to apply.
So is it 25% on premises or 25% of occupancy inside? The occupancy is inside, correct?
That's how I would determine it. If it was in a restricted place, like inside, I would think that would be the 25. I think if you're outside, I would say that's a different area, outside. Social distancing area, in my opinion. But
I agree. Just want to get your opinion. All right. Questions? Anybody else have any other questions? Brian's going to stick around here a minute. So if you think of something, we'll go back to it.
Well, Judge, I would like to compliment you on the letter you drafted and sent to the governor yesterday. I thought that was very well put. And I appreciate it.
Thank you. And it was a team effort. And, one of the things I put in it was, even after this over with, I know the governor's kind of taken away, has taken over, and all his orders supersedes any local orders. And it's, it's not a power trip with me. It's that we want to keep local control. And I know we all do. And I'm afraid that we're losing it slowly. And that's one of the things I really pushed on was keeping the control where it should be. That's local with Commissioner's Court. So thank you. And that was a team effort from the EOC. Thanks, Tim. All right, let's go down to the consent agenda. Is there anyone that wants to talk about any items on the consent agenda?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Commissioner Gore.
19.8.
All right, let's just take them one at a time. So 19 what, 8?
8, you want to go ahead and discuss it?
Yes, let's take them one at a time. All right, approved vacation carryover, Kathy Fielding, go ahead.
Okay, it's not pertaining to this one, it's just in general. This is going to become a serious issue with the county because of being off 6 weeks and people's anniversary dates hitting. We're probably going to need to look at something to address this issue because we're going to have a lot of this and it's going to continue to pile up on vacation carryover.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And we discussed it. And first I thought, well, it's not right. But then again, people couldn't use their vacation because they couldn't go anywhere. And I'd ordered them to stay, county employees stay at home.
No, I agree. I'm just saying we may have to look at something either. I don't know if we can afford to pay it. I don't know what our options can be. I think it's something we need to look at and address because people that have 4 or 5 weeks of vacation, I mean, it's gonna continue to roll over for the next year.
Well, and our policy said 40 hours, so are allowed every year to roll over.
Yeah.
So this would be making, of course, we'll be making an exception to that rule. And I'll visit with HR about it, Commissioner.
Okay.
All right, what's the other one, Jimmy?
1912, I just want to make a comment on that.
Go ahead.
The glass barrier over here at the East Annex looks great in the JP's office, and Denise's looks great. I mean, it's add a lot of protection to the ladies in there and the gentlemen, and
Good.
it looks great. I just want to give kudos to Mike and his department on getting that done.
Great. What else, Jim?
1913, the EMS. Changing that policy because put it in there about the excessive taking off, or are we having issues with that?
I asked Ron last week. I don't recall what he said. Would you get Ron over and see if he's here?
I didn't know if we was having issues. I saw it being a policy change. I didn't know what was going on there.
Yeah, I asked him about it last week, but I don't remember what he said. We'll get him over here in a minute. And when I'm thinking about it, we'll go back to the public health emergency update. All county employees go back to their regular pay, the start of the next pay period, which is Sunday. I sent it out yesterday. You should have gotten that. So just FYI, he's not over there. We'll try to get that answer for you.
I had one on that too, Judge, if you want to do it at the same time.
What, on which one?
On the 13.
Okay, we're gonna have to get him on the phone, so.
Okay.
So you want to wait on that?
Yeah, let's wait till we get him. We'll get him on the phone. Go ahead, Commissioner.
The 1926, Judge. I think we have a lot of county credit cards out there. I mean, we're supposed to use the POs and work through our purchasing department. And I thought most everything we do is with a PO. I didn't know, Ryan, we was wanting to issue another credit card. I was just curious.
Yeah, not to Ryan, to Bill. Let me get Bill over here. Ryan, will you get Bill? We'll just,
Rory.
let's go back to Ron's. Okay, so 13 was approved, changes Chambers County EMS staffing policy. Go ahead, Commissioner Gore, I'll let you.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Mr. Ron.
How are y'all?
You're doing a great job. I just had a question on the policy. I didn't know if we was having an issue with people excessively taking off or what the cause was for the policy change.
No, we haven't had that issue yet. We had one medic that was sick and off for a little while. The issue that will come up at some point, because it always does in EMS, is there's not a specific policy geared towards our schedules and how we work. The county policy is not very conducive to doing anything like that. And with ours, if guys that start calling off excessively, which I don't think we will, but we do, that's something that has to be addressed pretty quickly, because that causes staffing, causes overtime, causes other problems in the future. So this is just a standard policy that matches the city of Beaumont, Galveston County ESD number 2, Hardin County ESD number 2, and some other companies to kind of give us access to make sure that they understand that you can't call off on a regular basis. It's not like a normal 8 to 5 Monday through Friday job. And then the other change that we made too was, especially because of right now during the COVID and having so many part-timers that can't work, we're running a double basic truck sometimes with a paramedic responder, and that didn't really meet our specifications for what we needed for the state. So we added that line in there that allows us to staff a double basic truck and a paramedic responder to make sure we're covered under our state license as far as minimal staffing.
Okay.
Commissioner Nelson, you had a question, Ron?
Yeah, I do. Ron, I noticed we had a policy in there about working 72 hours. Is that something that's common, or?
No, that's for emergency type situations. Like right now, if we had a elevated call volume, or if we're in the middle of a disaster and a hurricane or something like that, that's basically a policy that allows me to extend them out 72 hours if I need to. Right now, they work their 48-hour shifts. They're not allowed to work 12 hours before or 12 hours after, unless we're under a declared disaster and I have approval from you guys to be able to have them work additional hours outside of the regular 48.
Well, there was another thing that, and I don't say it's a conflict, but one of them says that if they work 72 hours, they have to take an 8-hour shift off.
Correct.
work for us, but if they work for someone else, they have to be off for 12 hours prior to starting their
Prior to the
shift.
start of their shift, yes, sir. So if they're working for us, then the night before, they have to be off by 7 o'clock the night before to have a full 12 hours of downtime before they come start their regular scheduled shift. And then if they do happen to work a 72-hour shift, which like I said, is only going to be during a disaster type situation, then during a 72-hour shift, at the end of that 72-hour shifts, they're automatically down for 8 hours to alleviate any safety issues or arrest, especially during hurricane. If we have a major hurricane, I'll be honest with you, we're going to shift that. We're going to change from our normal staffing from the 4896 to a different type of shift rotation. It'll be either 12-hour shifts or it'll be 24 on, 48 off or something to that effect. Because during the hurricane with doing evacuations and everything else, those guys are going to be so tired after 24 hours, there's no way to keep them safely on the truck for another 24. So we'll address that schedule, the regular schedule during a normal disaster. But with our call volume the way it is right now, the 4896 is a very conducive. They're doing about 6 or 7 calls in a 48-hour shift, which takes them working probably about 18 hours for their 48 hours that they're actually doing active patient care, especially with our call volume being so low right now. The regular call volume, based on last year's statistics from Anahuac and Trinity Bay combined, is about 12 to 14 calls in a 48-hour period. So that's about half of their shift that they're working and the other half of their shift that they're resting and relaxing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just know working 24 hours straight is tough, you know, and if you don't get any rest.
Yes, sir. And like I said, and my guys, the policies we have in place for their standard duties and stuff is if they're not on a call and their station duties are done, their trucks are checked off, and they've got all their daily duties done, then they're told to go in, lay down, rest, and as much rest as possible, because you never know when that call is going to come in and when you're going to have to start running calls. Prime example, Saturday we ran 13 calls in about 12 hours between 3 trucks. So it was a busy day Saturday, and once they finally got done, they were all pretty hammered and ready to go to bed. So that's kind of how that works out. We never know what we're going to get.
Well, I didn't know if you had a busy time and the guy couldn't get any rest, that you brought in another crew maybe to take their place, but I'm not sure how that works. I'm still.
We kind of have a plan for that in place. We have an on-call type schedule for the guys that live in town, but we're not going to activate that unless it's just absolutely necessary, because we don't want to pay the extra overtime or anything else to bring somebody in just to let somebody rest. Now, if they need it, the other thing is if they need the rest, then the supervisors will put one of them on downtime for 2 or 3 hours, and the supervisor will cover the truck. Or the assistant supervisor in Cove will do the same thing. So if the guys get to where they need some rest, that's why we have the 2 supervisors on duty. They can pull up another truck and give that truck downtime if need be also. And that plan's in place also.
Yeah, that worked. All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions for Ron?
Yeah, I got one real quick, Ron. Speaking of other trucks, we have 2 we were waiting to get licensed on, and then the new COVID. What's the status of those?
The license went into effect almost a week and a half ago. So we have 4 licensed trucks that are stocked and ready to go. We staff 2 of them on a regular basis every single day. We have access to pull up the 3rd truck with 2 responders, and I have on-call staff to pull up the 4th truck if we have call volume necessity where I need to bring people in to pull up a 4th truck if needed. Once we're done with the COVID stuff, pulling up the 4th truck's a little bit easier because I'll be in the office during the day. And I can always grab Ryan or Bill, because those guys are licensed paramedics, and say, hey, we need to go run a call and pull up the 4th truck without anybody else in. So that kind of is going to work to our advantage as well. But we have 4 licensed trucks through the state of Texas. We're staffing 2 of them regularly and have a 3rd one that can be staffed anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else for Ron? Okay, Ron.
Thanks, sir.
All right, Bill came in, so we're going down to number 26. And he heard the question, Commissioner Gore, so.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hope you all are staying healthy. The question regarding the P cards. Yes, sir, we use our purchasing order policy and process on a regular basis, but these are not regular times. We're between emergencies such as the COVID-19, hurricanes, tropical storms, et cetera. There are times when the PO process is way too cumbersome. It takes too long to get a purchase order. There's nobody in purchasing to get that purchase order. And in this particular instance with the COVID-19, we've lost access to PPE and some sanitizing equipment because by the time we were able to get a purchase order, it had already sold. The demand is so high, if we don't hold the credit card, we don't get it. The second thing is that when we have a hurricane, we may lose our internet connectivity. In fact, probably will because of the wireline infrastructure that supports it. That would render our ability to get and use purchase useless. So having the purchase cards enables us to make the purchases that we need to make immediately. I will tell you that if you go to any of our surrounding municipalities and other counties, you'll find that the purchasing card is actually the primary method that they make procurement with because it's faster, easier, it's far more accountable. It's easier to track who does what, when, and how. And there are, just as with you all and your personal credit cards, there are rebates available for the use of a credit card that the county could actually get money back from the purchase. So we use, municipalities and counties use purchasing cards almost exclusively day in and day out. It would make our ability to make rapid purchases far greater than what we have now. I can tell you that I've lost some equipment, expensive equipment, because we started the procurement process to get a purchase order on Tuesday at 10 a.m. And it was the next week before we were able to get the purchase order because all of the red tape that was involved in getting it, between getting a W-9 from the vendor, getting a credit application into the vendor because a purchase order is a form of credit rather than a purchase like a purchasing card is. So this is far more efficient, far more effective, and in an emergency, we need that flexibility.
Well, can't the purchasing office issue a card during the time of emergency like that for that kind of stuff? Or, I mean, you want one all the time? I'm just curious. I mean, these companies that we're buying from, because we've had issues with buying from overseas and may not get the product, or it may be an inferior product or something like that. Couldn't they issue one during times of emergency?
If they could have, I would have thought they would have told us by now. This is what, the fourth or fifth declared disaster since I've been here, and that's never been offered.
Okay, I'm just curious, Bill. I mean,
yes, sir.
I didn't know. I figured during times of emergency, the purchasing department could issue a card for that type of purchases. And I mean, I just didn't want to circumvent the purchasing department. I didn't know how that policy went, but I mean, we need to want to stay in the confines of the law. I mean, but
there is no intent, nor will I in any way, shape, or form circumvent the purchasing department. Every time we make a purchase with a credit card, we have to submit for a purchase order anyway. But the difference is that I can buy from vendors that we don't typically buy from without having to spend 2, 3, or more days trying to go through the process of getting them registered as a vendor. We can do that after the purchase when we do it with a P card.
okay.
Do you have a special budget that there's funds in for that purpose, Bill, or not?
No, sir.
This one's COVID-19.
This one's COVID-19.
And it would be an emergency.
Correct. So for a declared disaster, there is a separate fund that is set up on a day-to-day basis. No, sir.
So you wouldn't be aware whether or not there's even funds in there, correct?
Oh, sure. I'm aware.
I mean, no. I mean, if what I'm getting at is if you know, if you made a purchase and the judge made a purchase and there's $75,000, you made $100,000 purchase, which was $25,000 more that was in the account. I mean, that's just using that as an example. What I was curious about is if that thing was kept up, you know, the budget was kept up pretty close on.
Yes, sir. Aaron watches that budget every single day. And he is in the EOC monitoring our expenses as we make them in real time.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, the judge has got a card, and just on these last ones you were referring to, where we missed the opportunity to purchase some PPE. Why did you not use the judge's card, or why could you not use the judge's card? I mean, we got two items here, one to increase that limit and another one to issue a new card. I mean, why couldn't we just increase that limit and for emergencies use that card?
If the judge isn't present physically in the EOC, that's not an option, sir. So if he's in his office, he's in a meeting, or he's out taking care of the business of the county, and he leaves the EOC in my charge, I no longer have access to that credit card.
But can we reach out to purchasing and see if they would, I mean, we can do some kind of deal where they can issue a card during that time?
Sir, George was copied on the request, and George's comment was that we need to send this to the county commission. So that's why this item is before you.
Okay, yes, sir.
That was his.
Can we get George on the phone?
Yeah, that's what I was.
I mean, Roy has a card too, doesn't he?
I have no idea, but Roy is, because of Roy's,
He's not president.
he's
in the
not
EOC.
president in the EOC.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
no, I understand.
I couldn't figure out how to say that.
Yeah, I know. I understand that.
You did good.
We're trying to get George on the phone, commissioners.
Thank you, sir. Do you want to?
Put you on speaker.
They have George on the phone, stand by one.
Morning, George.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Okay, so, good. Y'all had a question for George?
I'm ready.
You might have to hold the
Yeah,
phone closer to his mouth. I can't hear him.
Yeah, let's.
I'm moving it. All right, go ahead.
Hey, George, can you hear me?
How are you doing?
Commissioner Gore had a question, George.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
George, during times of emergency, can we have a dedicated card to give to assign to Bill, so he can make these purchases, or is there a reason to address a new card?
Hold on.
Hey, George, if you're watching the stream, you may want to go ahead and mute that, so it's not feeding back through the phone.
I just turned it off. I just turned off the stream. Can y'all hear me?
Again.
Okay, good. All right, then I'm turning the stream off. That way I don't get the feedback, because I'm getting the feedback too. Okay, hey, good morning. Okay, so look, so here's what we have. The judge does have a credit card with a $30,000 limit. I think Marina keeps that number there. It's in the EOC. It can be kept in the EOC. That's one. Two, Roy has a card. I think it has like a $10,000 limit with nothing on it. Roy Turner. And I have access to several cards with $70,000 plus when needed. I did send an email reminding the judge about his credit card, and I also sent the email and I copied Billy that I have those credit cards and I am on 24/7, and I gave my cell number. I never received a call. My office does a great job of vetting vendors. So when they're asked to vet a vendor, Bill's pointing out a lack of expediency. It's because they're trying to vet the vendor. Now, if we need an emergency purchase, I have credit cards and I'm willing to use them and ready to use them. All they got to do is pick the phone up and call me. No one ever called me to ask me, hey, we need to buy this by a credit card or we're going to lose this purchase. Because I would have done it in a heartbeat. I know what those guys are going through. I appreciate Bill and Mary Beth and Ryan and the judge and everybody in that EOC. And man, I'm here to help. So one of the things that I do see going forward, guys, is I can assign a credit card when something like this happens. I can assign one of my credit cards to whoever in the EOC to where they have that access in their hot little hands. If they need it, there it is. So yeah, that's something I can look at for the future, and something I would definitely look at for the future. If the judge doesn't want to use his credit card, then we can figure something out with one of my credit cards. But to have another credit card out there with that type of limit, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that, guys. I have plenty of credit cards, and I take my hat off to my office because they work hard and they do everything they can to try and get everybody what they want, when they want it, how they want it. And I appreciate them for that.
Okay, so
George, I think we need to go ahead and look at it for this because we don't know how much longer this pandemic is going to go on. And I think we're going to still need to make some purchases on PPE. So, I mean, I think we need to go ahead and whatever we need to do to sign, bill a credit card.
yes, I agree. Let's get one assigned to it. And what happened is, what's happening is everybody in the world is looking for PPE, personal protection equipment. And, you know, if you don't have, if you can't get it at the moment, you can't get it at all. So that's the need for them, which I know y'all understand.
Okay. Well, like I say, so that is, I am very much okay with that. And that is assigning one of my credit cards, i.e. a purchasing credit card to someone in the EOC, and they have the responsibility of that credit card. But of course, the responsibility falls on me, gentlemen. Okay. And I take that very serious.
And we do too. And I understand.
Thank you. I know you do. Belinda's in the office today. She is at the courthouse today. I'll contact her, and somehow or another we'll see what we can do to get credit card into the EOC, and let's see who the judge wants to assign it to, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, it'll be Bill because he's assistant in my stead. He's in charge of the EOC.
Okay. And don't forget, Judge, we still have Roy's credit card out there with about a $10,000 limit with no balance on it.
Okay, and if we get to buy him, we could go that route also.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, George.
And I appreciate everything y'all are doing there, guys, and we're ready to come back to work.
I understand. All right, thank you.
Thank you, George.
Okay, so we'll pull that item.
So are you okay at leaving yours at 30, Judge?
I think mine needs to go up just for emergencies.
We probably need to pull that item and vote on it separate then.
Oh, yeah, that's together, isn't it? Well, I'll tell you what, just leave mine at 30 for now. If Bill's gonna get that other one, we'll be okay.
You sure, Judge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
You
pull.
want to go on to the next item, Judge?
Yeah, you still got the floor.
Okay, 19.28.
Yeah.
Okay, I know, I mean, we're paying an auctioneer. How's that gonna work? I mean, we're paying an auctioneer to do, is he gonna be bidding the stuff? Or how's this gonna work on this auction?
That is an online auction.
Okay, I saw it said 2,500 plus 1% of the sales. For his
Yes,
fee.
they will manage the auction. It's on their website. I wish I had the information in front of me, but I don't. Aaron's got some. He's gonna try to pull it up. Have a chance to go online and look at it. That what's the website, Aaron? Oh,
StockShowAuctions.com.
StockShowAuctions.com.
Okay, so
It's handling the sale.
So we're just gonna get on there and go through the list and bid on stuff and just you do it.
You can get on there. I looked at it yesterday. You can pull up steers. If you don't look at steers, you can pull up a kid's name and you just go, you bid on it. It starts on Saturday morning, 2nd, and then you bid on it until Tuesday at 8 p.m. or whenever it closes.
Okay, I hadn't looked at it. Is there gonna be, they're gonna put a place to bid on it? Then is there gonna be a place on there to do add-ons?
There is. You can bid, you can do add-ons. There'll be a kid's picture with their animal, and there'll be information about the kid, whatever they want to put on there. I forget how many words it was, but pretty impressive. And they've done really well, this company, with other shows that had to be canceled.
Okay.
In Houston, they did Houston's. You got any more information there? You want to share?
I think it's $2,500 and then 1% on the gross.
Yeah, that's what Jimmy said.
Okay.
$2,500, 1% on the gross sale.
So will they still be judging the animals?
They will not be judging the animals. So it'll just be a sale. I know there's some of the kids have put theirs on Facebook and done raffles. And I was told they've done pretty well with those. So you know, we just got to get the word out, and I've sent letters out and emails, and if you do the same thing, if you would, try to get our folks to help out these kids.
Baytown Sun's gonna run some.
And Baytown Sun's going to run something. They talked to Ryan yesterday. Guy Matthews Law Firm called yesterday, and he wants to spend $10,000 to help the kids out on scholarships. So just let's get the word out. I think this is the best we could do in these trying times. So much as I hate it. That's all you had, Commissioner. Let's go to Commissioner 2.
Good.
You good? Commissioner 3. Gary, you got questions?
So we got, I was included in some of the ones that Jimmy had, so I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. They were all covered with the ones I was concerned with too, Judge, so that's why it was good.
Okay, good. Precinct 4, Commissioner Combs.
Yeah, I think Jimmy did do a good job, but I did have a couple
He did.
questions. Item number 11,
We'll start at 4 next time and go down. Good
the
question.
mass gathering. Well, then I'll be long-winded then.
Go ahead, Billy.
Mass
I'm sorry.
gathering rules and regulations. Is Ryan still around?
Yes, he is. What number are you on?
11.
All right, Ryan. Come on.
Okay.
They want to look at you.
Sure.
Not really, Ryan.
Well, I'm sorry.
Just kidding, Ryan.
I'm having a bad hair day, Commissioner. Okay.
Don't tell anybody.
You look great,
A bad
Ryan.
hair month. Okay. So, Commissioner Combs, what I did was to try to address the concerns you had back on the 17th, I believe, right? The last court we had in here, I think that was March 17th, was you were concerned that if we applied exemptions, we might not know some of those events that were occurring. So my idea was to not just carte blanche apply an exemption. You have to apply for the exemption, and if it meets those criteria listed out, then we could grant the exemption, or the court could grant the exemption. And that way you'd still have an idea of the events that may be occurring. I thought that might help with those concerns you have.
No, Ryan, you addressed every concern I issued or I brought up then, and I really appreciate it. Think you did a great job. This is really just a quick question, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
With this policy in place, and it may be a question for you, we're doing a separate agreement with the Raceway Park for the live concerts. And the way I read this thing, it's written where exceptions to mass gatherings in a venue that was made for mass gatherings. And although the Raceway Park was made for mass gatherings, the contracts or the musical events and all the concerts that they have
Court, Christie.
have a separate agreement with them for noise levels. I just want to make sure that this does not circumvent our other agreement with any place that there's going to be a musical concert events, and we can still look at it from a noise standpoint.
Oh, of course. There was a statement on the application in the packet there. It was kind of at the bottom. It said that they had to follow other state laws ordinances. And so I was attempting to address what you're saying through that permission to have an event doesn't give permission to circumvent any other laws, rules, or county procedures that are in place.
Well, that one's not really a law or a rule. It was just an agreement that we had with.
Okay. And we can, if you'd feel more comfortable, we can, I put this on this court because I thought there might be some things coming up pretty soon. But if you'd like us to look at that agreement you're talking about and compare it to the what's on court today, I'd be happy to do that. That way we can make sure that they fit together and there's not a conflict.
That might just be a quick question for Scott, but I would like to know that it doesn't circumvent that agreement.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Well, I don't know, Commissioner, do you want to ask Scott now, or you want it to be tabled?
Judge, what do you want to do, bud?
Oh, we can table because Scott's out.
Okay.
Well, there's no need. We don't need to push it through anyway, right?
No, it's not an emergency. I just
Okay.
thought there may be some coming up in a few months, and we just kind of want to be ahead of it.
Let's table it. What number?
Number 11.
Number 11, table. Got it.
And Commissioner, if you could forward me a copy of the agreement if you have it, and then I'll give you a call and we can get dialogue going on it and make sure that we're not on that.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
What else, Billy?
Okay, that's another, this real quick question. On the items 23, 24, grant management, going out for some grants on flood infrastructure. Would that grant be for actual projects or just for studies and engineering?
I think right now it's going to be for studies. Aaron can answer that. He's on the committee that we put together for receiving funding for drainage. Aaron.
I think it's be mostly studies for this, but we're not sure yet. And, you know, I think the plan is to kind of get a team together and figure out, you know, what we could do and use that money for. And just kind of make a plan. There's no real, you know, plan just yet.
All right, thank you, Aaron.
All right, other questions?
Hey,
Okay,
Judge.
that's all, Billy?
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Just the auction stuff, I was going to mention that there again. Now, all of our other local newspapers have reached out to me as well. They're doing some stuff for the auction as well. So I wanted to give them kudos for helping us to promote
Good,
auction as well. The two in Weenie and as well as the one in Anahuac.
good. And the Baytown Sun called yesterday, so
Yeah.
Ryan's hooked him up. Let's go to 21, and it's award architecture engineering contract future CDBG mitigation funds. You've got a letter in your packet. It's recommended LJ Engineering. Number 22 is public management. They're the only ones that turned in an RFQ, but we had two for the other, for number 21. So I'd like to take it separate.
I can vote on it separate.
Yes.
Okay, that'll be my motion that we go with public management as well as LJA.
So you want to vote on 21 and 22?
Yes, sir.
Motion by Commissioner Gore, excuse me.
I'll second it.
Second by Nelson, or was that Billy?
That was me.
Sorry, I wasn't looking, so I couldn't see the mouth moving. Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Combs. We're voting on number 21 and 22, LJA, and for the engineering, architect engineering and public management for the grant management, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Let's go back to 26. Why don't, just out of abundance of caution, if you don't mind increasing that purchasing for the county judge to 50.
Okay, that'll be my motion on that as well, Judge.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Combs, second by Commissioner Nelson.
The motion was by Gore.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Just came out wrong. Motion by Commissioner Gore, second by Commissioner Nelson. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Number 11 was tabled. Are you ready to vote on the consent agenda? Anybody else got anything else they'd like to discuss on it?
Move
Entertain a
forward
motion.
on the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Combs,
Second.
Yes, sir.
second by Commissioner Tice. No other questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And I think we've covered it all. And I appreciate it. Make sure the information on the livestock show sale is out on our website. So go look at it, share it with everybody you can so we can help these kids out. Thank you all and have a good day. Be safe out there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
You too.
Thank you.